Hi guys. Good day, good morning, good evening, whatever time you may be watching this video. So today in-invite ako ng isang kaibigan kong teacher sa Pinas na magkakaroon daw kami ng interview. Yes. So ayan na siya, i-admit na natin si Ma'am Michelle Villagracia.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Good evening. Good morning. Mag-record na ta, Char. Promise pa. Sana all.
Nagtalo ako kay wala ko iligo, maot akong buhok.
Sige na, sir. Oy, nasa ako sa palayo ang kamera ha kay malukop baya gyud akong naong sa kamera. Kay wala akong laptop guba. Sige, sir. Magsugod na ta, Char.
Sugod jud dahil wala mga intro.
Mga ganun ta kog intro sa imuha no. Niya dito na lang sa convo nato, Char. Niya ako lang ikuan sa imuha kay feature bit ka sa akong channel, Char. Niya. Uy, gayday kog kuan nimo survey. Dalang ako sa day isulat kay para i-promote nako daan ing imong channel pod. Niya, di ba kay magkuan man pug kano, magkuan man pug ka ani. Mag-upload ka.
Yeah, ma-upload.
Dalang ha. Ako sa tanawon imong channel, sir. Kay unsa kay imong kuan, sir? Mr. J's
Mr. J Vlogs.
Mr. J Vlogs.
Vlogs, yeah, Mr. J Vlogs.
Halawi kalamig accent sana all.
Uy, sure lang yun kay Bisaya kay kung ako. Maulaw kay ko sa kuan kay although ginatry na ako nga mag-English pero lahi mo gawas.
Lami ba kay promotion si Sir Bob sa imo ha kay kuan lagi daw ka. Howd kay ka magchika, howd kay ka mo English. Sana all. Sige sir, mag-record na ta.
Saman. Nani restroom break.
Sa mukha, oy. Pwede ra magud ta mag-inom-inom og tubig oy kay kuan ra man ni kanang char-char lang ba. Uy, uso ba ni karon? Uso ba ni sa katug-katug ning mga J1 kasagaran? Nag-vlog sila bahin anang ing-ani oy.
Ay mao?
Oh, kasagarang J1. Oh, nya.
Dapat tayo mag-follow kog mga J1 teachers nga naga-inani kay wala man ko ka.
Nagaingana gid sila, sir. Nagaingana sila nya. Ako ang mga kuan kay murag nga discourage na baya to sila kay kuan kanang wala na tungod sa unsay tawag ani? Tungod anang sa ban ni Trump ba? Nagban ba si Trump lagot kaayo.
Gani. Ambot ni si Uncle Trump oy.
Kalabad ba? Sige mag-share ay wa man tay share screen pod. Ngani ra man ta. Sige. Mag-start na ta sir ha. Okay ra ka?
Dili lang nako ni i-live. Unsa man i-live nako ni or
Hoy, kachismis. Pwede ra pod.
Kung i-live na ako, wala na excitement makita na atong live sa vlog.
Yan na lang i-post kay edit pamanggod nato kay mas gwapo gyud siya ma-edit kay basig ma.
Okay.
Ang mga pangit og naong dapit. Ma-filter pa nato gamay. Sige sir, sige. Mag-start na ta ha.
As in, okay. Seryoso na gyud.
Mag-start na ta. Seryoso na ni. Hindi mo kung saan mag-start.
Final na gyud, wala dili pwede mo back out.
Tinudanay na gyud ni sir. Okay, sige, mag-start na ko ha. Sige, mag-record ko, Char. Mag-record ko. Nya, unsa man ni? Mag-record pud ka or i-send nako sa imo ang recording. Pwede ba? Ay, nag-record naman day ka.
Yeah, nag-record nako. Nag-record na.
Hala. Nag-record na. Sige, mag-record po ko. O, anya ako dili ko i-send na lang nimo sa ako. Kay di man ko ka-record. Sige daw, i-try daw, sir. Pwede man yata pwede man yata i-allow ko nga mag-record.
Recording naman ko diri oh.
So isa ra jud ay maka-record no.
Oo.
Dili pwede nga mag-record sabay. Sige. Sige, let's start na sir. So, welcome ba akong iingon? Na-pressure ko sa ako ang English Pokenin nga guest, Char. Sige. So, right now we are talking to one of the best teachers of Mungkay. One of the best teachers. He was previously from Mungkayo National High School, sir. Tama ba, sir? Ah,
Ayaw pagpataka anang one of the best kay wala ba nagkuanan na, wala ba wala
uy,
ba
pag sure diha,
entrance.
daghan kay mga promotion sa imuha, daghan kay kag mga kon-apil hanggang katong sa mga magazine. So it's such a great privilege jud nga kanang ma-interview ka, Char.
Sir, mura jud king interview.
Okay, ko ano ani kanang nag-interview kog celebrity karon ba kay ginahon nako akong kuan hosting skills, Char. Sige,
Kamu.
sir. Pwede ba nimo tagaan og background nimo, sir? First, kung pila ka katuig sa DepEd and why did you decide to come to the US?
DepEd. Well, my experience in teaching is like including including the private school experience that I had was uh 8 years, almost 8 years. Yeah, I was teaching in Arisgado College Foundation Incorporated in Tagum City for 3 years. That was 2009 to 2012. Right after graduation, like a week after graduation from BSU Moncayo, I decided to apply for a job in Arisgado College Foundation, and yeah, I got hired and I taught there for 3 years, and after that I moved to Manila. I just experienced something different. I used to be a call center agent there and a private tutor for Korean kids for 2 years, and then after that I went home. I went back home to the place that I belong, Moncayo. So there, yeah, I got hired. I in Moncayo National High School, 2014, August 2014 to be exact. That was my appointment date. So and then yeah, and then I left Moncayo 2019 last year, July. So almost just a month to go. I will turn 5 years in Moncayo. So that was 4 years and 11 months.
Oh, I see. Well, that's a lot of experience. I think it's kind of long and you have a lot of experience. That's why I can see that you really are good in speaking English. It seems like you're a native speaker.
No
Yeah, it is
way.
true.
No, that,
And you are so hamist, so I can tell.
that's what people like to the like.
Sana all. Okay,
Oh,
now,
I didn't
because,
answer
yeah,
your question. Why did you decide to
yeah,
to
teach
become a
abroad in the
teacher?
US.
Well, yeah, I yes. Why did I decide? Well, basically, um, it was my dream, but a dream that I already forgot during those times that I was in dep ed, because I was like, okay, since I am in dep ed now, so I was thinking during that time that since I'm in dep ed now, so this will be my career, and I will grow old in dep ed. I will, I'll be teaching my whole life in the Department of Education. But then when I saw this opportunity that there is a chance for me to, to pursue still pursue my dreams of teaching abroad. So I was like, let me try this one. So there, I decided it all just started with seeing a Facebook ad. It's called EPI, and I know maybe you're familiar with it.
Of course.
EPI. I just saw the ad on Facebook while I was browsing my news feed, and I was like, okay, let me click this one. And then I clicked that, and I then try the application. I just filled in the form. That was 2017. That was 2017.
Mm.
And well, make the long story short, I did not finish the application because I got stuck with the bank statement thing that they're
Mm.
asking me. And
I've heard that the
yeah,
process for with EPI is really long and they have lots of requirements as compared when you get to contact an agency or perhaps direct to visa
yeah,
sponsors, right?
yeah, that will process your your documents and all. But yes, that was it. I got stuck with that requirement, so I did not finish the application. So that was 2017. And in 2018, I learned that a friend of mine, shout out kay Edson Makapagong from Moncayo. Um,
Mm.
I saw his Facebook post about going to the US. I think that was May of 2018. And then I I asked him, I messaged him on Facebook, and then I learned that okay, there's an agency that will help us, to get a job here, to land a job here in the US. So I then tried. I asked him what the processes are. So yeah, and then I guess that was September of 2018, last 2018. I sent an application, and there, the rest is history.
I see. So how long did the process take, sir? Like, how long did you wait? Because as far as I know, like for now, we are processing our applications and we're still waiting. But because of Trump's ban, it's kind of difficult for us to get through this yet. Well, we are hoping that by the end of this year we will make it through. But what about you? How long was the waiting time right before you how do you say, you went how do you say, you went to the US, or you traveled to the US to start your teaching journey?
Okay, I started my application like September of last week of September 2018, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got a reply like a first week of October, and I was scheduled for an interview, and I did submit all the initial documents that they needed, and then after that, I guess so October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So it took me 9 months to
Mm-hmm.
to
Wow.
complete all the process because supposedly I should, fly July. So yeah, I did uh travel to the US July 15,
Mm.
Philippine date. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So that was 9 months of, going through the process. But to tell you honestly, that I guess that was March that I really took the process of submitting all the documents because I was like, si tawag ano eh, sigurista kay ko, I did not pay anything yet. I did not pay anything yet because I don't want to gamble like, spending money and I'm not sure,
True, absolutely.
getting the job because, I don't have money. I have loans, a lot of loans in the Philippines. So I got a text, or I mean, yeah, PM from Mom Cheryl of Biposhe. Let me just mention Biposhe International LLC, the one that helped me, which is also helping you right now. Um, so yeah, I guess that was February of 2019 that I got a message from her that I was recommended for, a teaching position here in Red Mesa, Arizona, and I was scheduled for an interview. I did not apply for, for this position here in Red Mesa. I was recommended by Mom Cheryl, so I
Mm-hmm.
just did an interview. That was March 2, and then after that, I got a job offer like March 5, like 3 days after I
Mm-hmm.
got a job offer. So that's it. I mean, that was after that, since I was sure now that I'll be having a job here in the US.
That's when you paid.
Okay, it was so I mean, okay, I need to process now my documents and all. So from there, I decided to like manghiram ng pera para mag-process na ng aking mga documents and all. Pero kayo,
Mm-hmm.
I think sa inyo it was different because you
Yeah,
you paid in advance, like yeah, you
yeah,
processed
because the
first your
mm.
transcripts and everything, your fingerprint and everything like that.
But what about yours? Was it, did you have to process everything like the transcript
Yeah, like
before you got the
that's what I'm
recommendation?
telling you. Like after I got a job offer, that's the time.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's so good.
Yeah,
But
that's
well, in our case, it's kind of different because we had to process everything. We had to process everything first, right before we can land a job offer. And I think this year it's kind of different. I mean, the process of how do you say, hiring is kind of different because they kind of send or recommend teachers to schools on a later date. So most likely teachers would have to apply, and I think that all or most of us who are hired now in the US applied for ourselves. Like we have not been recommended, or maybe we were recommended, but it was probably difficult because I've heard that there is some kind of a freeze, like the hiring process has been frozen in most school districts, especially in Arizona, right, sir? Is it correct?
Yeah, that's really true.
This is so sad. Okay, but yeah, we're still waiting. Okay, but so now here, sir, what is the difference between the educational system in the U.S. As compared to what you've experienced here in the Philippines? Of course,
Um,
we know that the U.S. is everybody's dream.
um, I could not say much of the educational system of the US because, well, first and foremost, I only have a glimpse of the system based on, the school that I am in right now. So I
Mm,
could not, because I believe when you talk about the educational system, that is like really a
it's kind
broad,
of broad.
broad,
Yeah.
you know, topic. But let me just tell you what I experienced here in Red Mesa, Arizona, as far as my experience is concerned, because I can only talk about my experience, not the entire USA,
Yeah,
because
not in general.
Red Mesa is just a tiny little dot in the US map. So well, the first thing that let me um, what specific part of the system that you would like me to talk about?
Uh, let's start first with the workload. So it would be better to be very specific with that. So
Yeah.
how is workload in the US for a teacher in science, right? You teach science, you
Mhm.
teach chemistry,
Uh,
as far as I know. Am I correct, sir?
yeah,
Teach chemistry?
chemistry.
Okay,
Yeah, chemistry and biology.
biology. Okay, so how different is the workload here? I mean, in the U.S. as compared to how it was when you were still here in the Philippines.
Mm, well, in the Philippines, I was handling science for 4 years in the 10th grade, and I only have like four sections, which of
Mm-hmm.
course each section is composed of 60 kids in the
Wow.
Philippines. So yeah,
But that's
four.
good. That's just four sections.
Yeah,
Still, I think that that is a fair share.
and four sections and one advisory. So that's
Oh,
my
that's a
that's
total of
my load.
five.
That's my workload in the Philippines. Here I have five classes. I have five classes. It's composed of sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So it could be um, 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade. So that's
Oh.
it. So it's biology and chemistry because here they don't have like homogeneous all grade 9, all grade 10, all grade 11. They're mixed.
Mm.
Like whenever you want to get that subject or that class, like you wanted chemistry, you wanted biology. So even if you're freshman, you're sophomore, you can still have that class. So they are
I
mixed in
see.
one
So
in
you're
one.
literally like the international teacher, the term that we use for teachers who teach various grade levels.
Yeah, yeah, like they're mixed. So yeah, and although there are five classes that I handled here,
Mm-hmm.
but the the easier part of it is I am only dealing with like the smallest class that I have is composed of 8 students.
Wow. That's just so good. Yes, that's what I've heard from my colleagues right there in Vegas, and they said that they would just handle like 26. That's the maximum for a class, and that's I was like,
And
what? That's so good.
then the maximum number of kids that I handled last school year is composed only of like 19 kids.
Oh my gosh,
That's
that's so little. But how was it? like considering that US the kids in the US have different perspective as compared to Filipinos, right? I mean, we Filipinos, especially during my time, as far as I can remember, but of course generations change. The generation Z is kind of different from my generation, but I can tell that when the teacher tells you not to do this one, of course we get scared and we would just stop and we'd listen. But what about in the US? So how is it? How different is it when it comes to classroom management?
Well, the first time I can remember the first day that I entered the classroom. I mean, I'm in the classroom here. You have to stay in your classroom, your own classroom. It's the students that transferred, from one room to another. So I am staying in my
Mm.
room. That's
Wow,
like
that's
my
so
son's
good.
room. So I do
Very
not.
convenient.
Yeah, very convenient for the teachers. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, the first time I have my first period, my first class. Of course, I have a lot of expectations from these kids because being hailed from the Philippines of having this kids that know us already, and you are moving to a place where no one knows about you. So for me it was like so maning langaw sige magsamok sa di naka
Nanay gapoy langaw sa US, sir.
oo Adrian
Wa ko nag-expect. Kanaday lang.
sorry for that intermission means abre magud ang akong ang doors para sa yard ba sa gawas na ano sulod siguro ni sila. Well, anyway, yeah, let's go back. So the first time that I encountered my students, they were like they were staring at me, and of course I have to introduce myself and them too. I let them introduce themselves, but the first time that my first impression was these kids. Well, anyway, just to let you know, especially to your viewers, to your yeah, I'm handling Native American kids. So I'm I was expecting that when I was
Native,
way
like
back when I was
when you say Native Americans, or let me just correct that, like
yeah
Navajo, like I don't know how to pronounce it
yeah
properly.
they call them Navajo.
Navajo, okay,
Yeah,
Navajo, okay.
yeah. So um I was expecting I'll be handling, the American, the blondes, the white, the black
Yeah, that's the
American.
usual
So,
expectation.
yeah, because that was being from the Philippines. I was expecting, okay, these are my types of students I'll be dealing with. But when I came here, okay, I'm dealing with Native Americans that is not really far from how our kids look, in the Philippines. Like
Yeah, I saw them.
yeah,
I saw the
they look
photos.
like Asians too, like So I was kind of like, oh, okay, these are just my my kids, like my Filipino kids back there in the Philippines. And the funny part was they even thought that I am
That
Navajo.
you're I knew for sure. Because they probably thought, because of your accent and the way you speak, you just seem like them. And when it comes to color, I think that Navajo people, they have their skin color are not so white they're not white, right?
Yeah, they're
Like,
just fair. Yeah, they're
yeah,
fair.
they're fair. The fairest are like the whites, and then Hispanics, and then the natives.
Yep.
Am I right, sir?
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, one kid was like, I thought you're a native. I thought you're a native. No, I'm a Filipino. I'm from the Philippines. So I showed them the map, where the Philippines is, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Wow! So you came all the way from there, and you for teaching?" I was like, "Yes." So I'll be your teacher for this school year, and yeah. So science was my class. So yeah, I mean they're shy, they're timid, something like that.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, they're not really the outspoken, kind of kids like what we have in the Philippines. Like during the first time that even though you don't know the person yet, I mean you don't know the kid yet, but they were like, "Hi, sir." Hi.
That's what I am expecting, actually, sir. I thought that's how kids right there are. Like, they would throw their bags and,
No,
I'm not gonna listen to you, and
no, no,
just
no,
put
no.
their headset.
They're not like Navajo kids are really nice kids and yeah, in the sense that what I'm telling you earlier is that they seem to be like my Filipino kids, apart from
That's
how
so
they
nice.
look. Yeah, how they look like, really Asians. And yeah, they're timid and shy. They none of them talk to me like, the way I expected them to. But I guess that took me like 2 months, or I can't remember specifically, but yes, I guess that was 2 months that, they started like getting along with you. Yeah, like they will talk to you, they will share to you whatever, they wanted to share. So yeah, and then yeah, those are like my kids here, the Navajo kids.
They're built actually, sir, just like, I mean, they look kind of big as compared to the Filipino kids. I've noticed that in your photos, and
Oh well.
yeah, yeah, you look like you're just of the same age. I
Yes.
saw the photos and I'm so surprised that male would excel in chemistry. Like, we know here in the Philippines that most likely those who excel in chemistry are, the ones who the female ones, because we are much interested in chemistry and only a few of you guys excel, and you're one of them. You're one of the exceptions.
Oh, yeah, they're really big. They're tall, like taller, taller than their age. Like I have kids like a 14-year-old kid, and that is just way taller than me. I would look up high to him because he's just so tall. And yes, I think even especially the seniors, the 12th graders are really, really tall. I mean, they're like most of them are like basketball player, height, something like that. So yeah, they're big. And yeah, well, typically they're Americans, so that's it.
So how do you get along well with these kids, sir? I mean, because you said that they're just like Filipinos, however, they're timid and shy as compared to the Filipino kids. So how do you get along with them, and how did you get their attention, or how did you lure them into liking
Lure.
you?
What a term. Yes.
Lure
Um,
them into liking you.
well, I think for me, um, I don't want to brag about it, but I think I can see myself as a person who has the gift of connection. Like I can connect to people, like not really as the first meeting, but as we go along with spending time with each other, especially in the classroom, I just kind of like, although it's hard for me to throw jokes during classroom discussion, but I really am trying my best to not be a boring teacher, kind of science teacher. But I'm trying to like make them laugh or make them like feel at ease, like this is not a serious class all the time, that we can just play around, we can enjoy, we can laugh, we
Mm.
can we can share things outside from the lesson. So I did that, which I usually do in the Philippines when I was teaching there, because I don't know if you know, but I am really close to my kids in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I used
I get to see all those photos of you, and you're video calling your students, and they're calling you, and they're tagging you in their posts. I'm like, yeah, this kind of man is just like me.
yeah,
That's how I also treat my kids.
yeah,
But of course, I would like to disagree with you said about the first meetings. I don't think so. Like, it's our first meeting right now. If you've noticed, I have never seen you in person. I have, yeah, I just
oh,
met you through my cousin who has recommended you. I mean, told me about you, and that I added you on Facebook, and that's it. And we talked, and I was like, gosh, and this time it's our first time, and I beg to disagree. I don't think that you're not so good when it comes to first meetings.
yeah, well, thank you for that. I would take that as commendation.
Yes, of course it is.
But yeah, so I think that's it. I just make it a habit of not letting my kids feel so stiff about being inside my classroom. So I always find time to let them feel that I'm not just their teacher. I can be someone that they can talk to, something like that. But oh, of course, I have to admit that it's really hard to to, how do you call that, to implement that kind of a mindset here in the US, because of course, I mean, these kids don't know you. I mean, um, they just met you for like, this year, and how would that connection be, as I mean, in a snap? So it would not happen like in an instant. But of course, it took me, I guess I would say it's safe for me to say that it took me like three 3 or 4 months to that I can really say that these kids are already getting along with me. I'm getting along with them, and yeah, I mean, they even when I can remember when I'll be in my lunch break, and I'll be doing a video call with my wife or my kids in the Philippines too, my former students. They would um, join me, and they would just say hi, and they will just appear in the video too, and it's just like that. So yeah, I think
Fun.
yeah, I think it should be letting them feel that it's fun. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be like really serious, like the terror teacher that they're afraid of.
I
you
do
know
agree with you.
yeah, so
And
it's like that.
I think
Okay.
I think the advantage is that you speak so good. Like you sound like a native speaker, and aside from that one, you look like them, because there is a study that says that if the students will listen to you if they would see themselves in you. Like if you look like them, yeah, like what you said, they thought that you're a native one. So yeah, I think that's an advantage. And of course, you also have such great personality, like when you're talking, and yeah, you can literally lure the kids into liking you. So I think that's just it. But let me just go to how strict the school is. Like here in the Philippines, we are I cannot say that we are so strict, but we have some limitations when it comes to our actuations inside the class, right? How about in the US? How different is it?
What do you mean? I mean the way we deal with our kids inside the
Yeah,
classroom.
the way we deal with our kids, the way we deal with our lessons,
Mhm.
how different is it?
Well, in the first place, I mean, it's really a different thing here, because um, it's for me, I can say that it's stricter here I mean, in the US, because it's um, tawag nito, um, you don't, you cannot upload photos of your kids without their permission or without their parents' permission.
Mm,
You cannot just
just
you can take photos, of course, especially during class activities, or
just like China, they're very strict with that.
yeah, you cannot just take photos and upload it the way you want it. You can't do that. And it's also very, very a big no-no here if you would make the feel, I mean, you will make the kids feel intimidated or discriminated. That's a big no-no here.
Oh
So you have to
yes.
be very careful with your words. You don't you have to be very careful with how you deal with them, even simple approaching them, or even like touching them or whatever. It's a big um, you know, um, tawag nito, it's a big
It's really a big
warning,
deal.
like caution that you have to, consider, because
Mm.
yeah, many have been. I mean, I've heard news here all over, like I have heard news even before Shay shared that to us, that there are cases that have been filed to J1 teachers for doing this and doing that. So
Yeah.
that served us a warning as well. So I don't know. It's more strict. It's more strict or stricter. I don't know the term. You're an English
Mm.
teacher.
It's it's stricter. The
Stricter.
term is stricter because strict is one syllable word.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
ma'am.
That's okay. Well, I think Americans are actually not very much particular when it comes to
You,
grammar.
you know what?
That's what I've
That's
noticed.
the east. I mean, that's the one of the things that I love here, because you don't need to sound like a grammar Nazi or whatever. I mean, you don't need to be like really perfect in grammar, because They don't care. They don't care about grammar. As long as you express yourself, as
Yeah,
long as you
absolutely.
deliver what you wanted to say, like as long as they understood what you're saying. I mean, it doesn't matter. Even the pronouns that they use. I mean, they sometimes make mistakes in
Mistakes.
that.
True.
Yeah, even the subject verb agreement. But we Filipinos are like, oh my God, is should be with singular, are should be with plural. So it's
Yeah, that's what I've learned as well when I taught Japanese and Chinese. I would always say, Native Americans are actually not like that. When you talk to them, it's just the regular thing. Like they're not very particular, just as long as you're conversant and just as long as they can understand you. But of course, they are very particular with accents. Sir, am I right?
the
With the
American.
grammar, I think they're not particular with it, but when it comes to accent, because we have this kind of um like in our online community, like I am an online teacher, so some American teachers would call out to Filipinos because of our accent. And I think, are they familiar with that in your place? Because Red Mesa is one of, is in the US, and how is it different?
To tell you honestly, there's a funny story that my kids, my one of my close kid, close to me here, um, he told me like it was earlier, uh, early part of second semester, like January after the break, and then he was telling me, "Hey, Mr. J, you know what? I observed that your English is now like really different from the first time you came here." I was like, what? I mean, how? I mean, because the first time we talked to you, I mean, you were discussing in front of us, like you're sharing to us the lesson in science and chemistry. We were like, what is he talking about? They can't understand me because I have a hard accent because Bisaya. I,
I
you
think that's
know,
just
I
normal.
mean, but for me during those times, I'm telling you, during those times, I was like, oh, I sound like I sound like good, like I sound like
You're
American.
confident.
But yeah, I was confident that I delivered the lesson well. I was enunciating the words correctly. But to them, they were like, what is this person talking about? and then yeah, comes January, I was like, oh really? For sure. And they were like, yes, Mr. J. I mean, your English is becoming better and better. I mean, yeah. So maybe I would take that because they're the ones who listen. I mean, who talk to me, who converse
Maybe
with
they
me.
just felt like it's like because you're new to them. Maybe that's just how they felt. But I don't think so because I saw your videos from before. I saw you talking, and it's just the same as how you speak right now.
I mean, I was like thinking also. No, is there really was there really a difference during the first time that I was here?
Yeah, maybe because
For
they're
me,
just new to. You're just new to them. Whenever they find somebody new and yeah, they're not familiar with that person, I think they kind of not understand, or maybe because we Filipinos really have this distinct accent, or yeah, even me sometimes I get to.
no, you know what your accent is like. Just on this level. Like I'm just here.
I don't think so. Okay, well, we have formulated the question. How I have formulated the questions, however, we're not following them.
That's
It's just
fine.
like a free
That's
talk, and
totally
this is
fine.
a
I
good
told
thing.
you, let's just enjoy this interview. I mean,
Well, I bet you were some kind of a smart talker way back. You really are very good in when it comes to answering questions that are, how do you say,
yeah,
on
I
the
want to
spot.
share something about the because we're still with the educational system. With grading system, yeah, they have here the grading system here is like I don't know how to call that, but they have the equivalent here as like A plus is
Yeah,
the highest, A
mm,
plus is the highest, and of course D is the lowest, and F is
like
failed, of
like
course.
they
But
do
they
the
have
A
those
B
equivalent.
C D, right?
Yeah,
Just
A
like
B C
when my
D.
transcript was evaluated, it was
Yep.
like A B C D.
Yeah, A B C
Mm.
like A plus A. There's with A there's still A. and A plus, and before A there's still A minus, so it's like that, and B plus, B
Mm,
minus, B.
I forgot the grading. I forgot how to call that grading system because that was used way back. That was used way back in special education
Oh,
curriculum.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Way back when I was still in elementary, I can remember that that was implemented. Way back when I was in the fifth grade, I think. Yeah. Well, sir, but with your grading system, how is it just like how you were graded in BSU? Because I, as far as I know, there is like a with the grading system, but in college, of course, it's numbers, right? For example, if you reach 88 to I'm not so sure with the figures, but if you reach a certain uh how do you say grade 88 to 90, and then that would be 2.0. Is it something like that? But
The way
it's just letters.
the
Yeah,
way
the
I
way
was
you grade
graded.
the student. Yeah, the way you grade your students. I'm really confused about as to how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a we have a form. I mean, yeah, a an equivalent. I mean, a table for equivalence of grades, like um 90 98 to 100, that's A plus. 96 to, I mean, 95 to 96, that's A. And then yeah, something like that. They just we just follow the the equivalence of these grades, and that's. But when
Mm,
we submit our grades, we can submit it uh, as A plus, as letters, or we can submit it also like the figures. We can do that, and
mm,
then they will just be the one. Our counselor will just be the one to. Our counselor will just be the one to, like,
evaluate them.
yeah, evaluate them, and like how do you call that, transpose or translate those into figure. I mean, into letters.
Mm, I see. I
Yeah,
understand. But do you have like a ranking system? Like of course, here in the Philippines, we have ranking systems, right? And I think
yeah.
that kind of grading system would be very confusing if there is a ranking system.
Yeah, but we don't. They don't have ranking system for lower years. They only have the ranking system for the 12th graders, like the seniors.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
they don't rank the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors. They only rank the seniors, because that's a time that they are going to determine the honors. The valedictorian,
Mm.
the salutatorian, the with honors.
Oh, so from the very beginning, from primary to high school, so it's only when they reach the 12th grade that they receive awards. Oh,
Yeah,
but let me just how do you say? Because I can remember you posted some kind like an awarding, right? Like the best performer in your class, the best in chemistry, right? You've posted, so that's allowed, right? But there is no such thing as
yeah,
ranking like
that
first
was
two.
that was allowed, because that's also. I don't think that's the first time that they have it, but Mr. Ponder, our principal, I asked him if I can do that, because we're used to doing that in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I think it's really good to motivate
Yeah.
kids.
And then, you know what, I would tell you, during the after the parent teacher conference, many parents were really like happy and appreciative about it, because
Yeah, I can
I'm not
tell.
claiming that it's their first time, but I think it's really like one
Unusual.
unusual for them. Yeah, that's the term. Unusual for them to receive those kinds of certificates. And yeah, I was happy doing that, because I mean, we're used to we're doing that in the Philippines, and I think these kids deserve recognition, because they don't receive those kinds of recognitions. Like, they were not acknowledged for their performance. So
I see.
yeah, so that's it. I
I
gave, like,
understand.
for honors. Yeah, for honor kids.
Well, I think that is really that is really a good move. I think because kids in the U.S. somehow. I'm not saying that it's in general, but I think that they really don't get a lot of recognitions. Not unless if the school implements that, right? Because there are
Yeah,
schools like, for example, for my school they do that, but however, like what you've mentioned, they don't do the ranking system like the first until uh, the top 10. They don't do that, but
but
I think it's a
but
really good thing.
but in the Philippines, we're used to, like, even up to the last honor. we have
Almost everyone in the class is on.
we have to give, like, we have to consider, oh, we have to give this kid an award.
It is true. I understand that. But sir, let me just ask you about this because here in the Philippines, the grading system is kind of different. Like, the transmutation. And I think that when you transmute the grades from very low and then it gets really high, like you're kind of thinking, oh my gosh, why is this so high? I think this is just so high for this kid. Is it the same thing or are they zero based in the US?
um, to tell you honestly, it's I was I can remember that we actually use a an online platform in in having, so we just enter the
That's
score.
what I really love about
Yeah,
it.
we just enter the
That's
scores, and then after entering the scores, it will just give you the
it's
grade
automatic.
of the kids. So, but you have to set up like um, assessment would be 40%.
You have to set up your own standards.
Yeah, your own standards. You
Wow, that's
you
so
use your own.
good
Like me, I was using the same way I was using in the
in the
Philippines, like
Philippines.
40% for assessment, 40% for um,
Performance.
quizzes, and
Mm,
that, and then what was that? No, performance tasks. Sorry, performance tasks, and then 20% for like the
participation.
no, the 20% for like the grading test, something like that. The periodical
Yeah,
test.
yeah, periodical exams.
Yeah, periodical exams. Okay, so that's yeah 40, 40, and then 20. So that's the way I did it.
Wow, that's so good. So you can set your own standards.
Yeah, you can, as long as you can justify what are the components of this, grading. I mean, this part of
Mm,
this, like let's say you say 40% of the quizzes. So what quizzes? So it should be daily quizzes, weekly
mm,
quizzes, something like that, or long quizzes, something like that. So it's up to you.
mm,
So and then
mm.
we just enter that. We just follow I mean, we just put that into that online platform, and then after that, just have to enter every time, and then it will give us a grade at the end of at the end of the grading period.
That's really good. Well, I also have had a first-hand experience of the educational system in the US. Well, they use some platforms like for Go Math, for Reading Wonders. Of course, I'm very familiar with the Reading Wonders for elementary. That's what they use. And I'm just so surprised. Oh my gosh, if this is how fun if this is how fun we teach our kids here in the Philippines, they would really learn. Like, considering that Filipino teachers are really passionate about
Yes,
our job.
and you
Yeah.
know what I love here is that technology is really integrated into the classroom instruction, and
Yeah.
since technology is integrated, you can really play, you can just make use of everything that you can think of about integrating technology. Like I can have interactive quizzes, like online quizzes. They have their
So
smart
good.
boards. If you see that in my post, they have the smart boards, and then I would use my computer, and then we'll just be playing an interactive game, and then they will just be using their phones, and they will just press the correct answer in their phones, and the scores will be reflected. So it's like a real
That's really
time.
nice.
Yeah, it's and
Very
yeah,
interactive.
it just and I think that was the first at the onset of the second semester that I made my kids make a review of what are the things
Mm,
that they like about our class. One of the feedbacks that I received was they like the interactive games that we do on online interactive games, and they want to do that because it's really fun. Like I used to
mm.
group them, or it could be individual, and they will be using their phones, and then it'll be like there will be a time limit, and they're just so excited about it. So it's just amazing, and you can
I
just
really do understand how interested they are because that's what I do with my baby as well. She does that, but however, here in the Philippines, it's just so difficult, right? Because there is no internet
it's really
connection.
difficult. You know what? I
Mm.
can remember when I had an interview with a superintendent here. He was asking me, "Are you familiar with smartboard? Have you tried have you
Me
tried
too.
using
I was
smartboard?"
asked about that.
And yeah, because that is what we are using here, and that's one way of integrating technology into the classroom instruction. I was like, To tell you
Uh,
honestly, I really don't know what a smart board is, but I am really willing
want
to learn
to learn.
how to use it. So he asked me, so what kind of technology are you using in your classroom? I was like, so the only thing that I remembered, that I integrate, of course, I was so proud because to tell you honestly, in in Moncayo National High School, um, it's like uh, the screen mirroring thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
from your iPhone, and then you
on
can share
iPhone,
it
and
from a
you have
smart
to cast,
TV.
yeah, you have to cast
Yeah.
the screen. I I can tell you that I am the one. I was the one who first introduced that into the classroom, and the rest of the teachers were like, "Okay, let's do this kind of thing." So yeah, so the moment we purchased a television set in my grade 10 last 2018. I was like, okay, let me do this thing, and it's fun because I can just project my PowerPoint from my iPhone to the directly to the television, in front of them, and then also my quizzes are can be made into that one. But of course, it's really trabajoso. It's really trabajoso because you have to make and then you have to transfer here your PowerPoint and then you have to project that. And then I told the superintendent, well, I'm using television screencasting. um, that's the only thing that I was really proud of because I did that myself. And the first time I came here and then I saw the smart board, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I can just do everything. I can draw, you can project your computer screen, you can do everything. You can even, use it as an art board, so something like that.
Yeah, it's just
It's
like
just,
Zoom. It's just like Zoom.
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I think I think that's just it. Actually, because how do you say? I was also asked the same question, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we don't use technology. We only use TV. We only use TV like the usual TV, and then plug in our USB." And it was like, "OMG, how am I
I know,
supposed to
right?
answer
We're
this?"
only using the USB, the flash drive thing, and then
Yeah, the
we
flash
don't
drive
prepare
thing.
videos and PowerPoint.
OMG. And so when I answered, I was just like, oh, I have been using Zoom. That's just it. I have not actually applied it at school. And they were like, okay, okay, Smartboard is just like Zoom. So that would be okay. So it was a good advantage that I taught online
I
because
know.
it's really difficult if you don't have the knowledge. It's difficult to get hired, to be honest.
Yeah,
There are
I
so many
think
of us.
that's one
Mhm.
of the things that you have to be prepared of going here. You have to be acquainted with really using technology because
Mhm.
I mean USA is USA, so we have
Yeah,
to
true.
be
Very
familiar
advanced.
with technology. That's it.
I see. I understand. Yeah, because also I think there are a lot of us who applied, and how do you say? Not all of us got hired. Now, when it comes to technology, the question is actually they're very particular with it. Like I have had two interviews. The first one was from Texas, but I didn't get through with it because of the conflict when it comes to. I mean, the school has their own agency. They also asked me about technology, and they're like very particular with it. Like they would say, you have to be an innovative teacher. You have to do this and do that. You have to know how to use this and use that. So on my second one, I had to search for that board thing, and I had to watch YouTube videos just so I would know. Oh my gosh, that's so different as compared to how it is here in the Philippines. When
Good
I
for
said
you.
that,
Good for you that you have time to, search that on YouTube because the moment that I had an interview, I was like, I have no idea what is a smart board.
well, I I actually did so that so that I can give an answer because that was the only thing. I prepared the interview by myself. I just did the draw lots and read the question. I'm like, how am I supposed to answer this technology thing? It's really difficult. So yeah, I had to look for it. I had to search for it, but how to say and how to use a smart board wise. I think it's kind of like when you're new, it would be difficult. Is it?
It was difficult during the first time that I tried using it, but of course the when you're used to it, it's just a piece of like a phone that you're used to, using like. It's just a normal part of your instruction.
That's really fun. I think it's really good because it's interactive for kids. Okay, so now what was my question again? I forgot that question. Okay. Okay. So what were the major adjustments that you had to do, okay, when you moved to the US? What were those major adjustments? What were the things that, because of course Filipinos are Filipinos, and when we move to another place, we it's kind of, our culture is completely different from them, right?
I know. Yeah, yeah, I know that. Major adjustments. I think the first thing is the weather.
Oh, I've heard it's very hot in Arizona, but
Yeah,
it's very cold
I
in the
know
winter.
that we're used to this kind of weather in the Philippines, but ours was like it's okay because we still have the moisture, you know. But here it's really, really dry, and it's weird that it's hot, but you do not sweat, like you don't perspire. It's really hot,
I can't imagine.
like the first week that we were here, we were brought by our principal and our sped director in one of the tourist spots here, like the Canyon de Chelly. And we were like hiking for how many hours, but I don't really sweat because I was like, it's a weird thing. So
What?
yes, and the sun is really, hot
Freaking hot.
and yeah, scorching hot. But I was like, what's going on? I don't really sweat, so it's really weird.
Weird.
So yeah, I think that's the first thing. And I had dry skin, like I don't know. Ako sa tua is ano jud ko anang pugiso na jud ko.
Mukagis day ah.
Pugiso na jud ko pani. Pero pag abot
Or
diri
the
ni samot jud
hamis.
ko kapugis diri pag abot kay.
Pag sure oy. Hamis ba kayo kasi mo ang mga post ha?
Dili ay
Oh,
ni
bisag
samot
karon on char.
yeah, no, ni samot ko kapugis diri because it's really dry, and then it's only here nga nagagamit na ko every day,
Ug mga
like
moisturizer.
moisturizer, lotion, creams, and that. Because if you don't, especially lip
Lip balm.
balm, lip balm,
Mm.
grabe. Naka-experience ko nga ang akong lips dire, grabe ang crack nga nagsamad-samad na gid siya.
Katong first few kuan mo nga nasakit
Even
ka.
even not the first month, kanang kahantod karon, kanang usay kanang mo ano gid ang weather nga ano gid kay dry gyud kayo na una permente ka mabutang og kun unsa naman diri ay it's just a normal thing kay ang students diri, they will also like you know bring their own lip gloss.
Really?
Yeah, then mukalit na
Sana all.
naga-istorya mukalit ra bunot sa iyang bulsa ana. Kay mabutang kay yeah, dry kay diri. Yeah, weather is the first adjustment. And what else?
Yeah. So, though the weather
Adjustment
is
to
really hot, no? Makahamis. Sana all.
hamis bagugod.
Magulat na sa mga comments.
Ang viewers nimo nato may
Halos parehas na.
dapat mag-comment po sa
Mag-judge.
video kung unsa ba ang kung nagsulti ba kag tinuod or gichar lang po nimo.
Si Sir Gary ang maka-attest, ana.
Teacher nimo si Sir Gary?
First, friend ni Lynn kay Miana niya.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. So, mo na to imong major adjustments, ang weather and as
Then
well as
ang
what
place
else?
mismo because
Lima.
it's fun to say, but they used to term this place as in the middle of nowhere. kay kay wala man ko sa city. So I'm not
Mm.
I mean I'm not in the city like, the city that we're used to. Dire mingaw kaayo, like you're in the middle of a desert.
But I think that when you say like when you're in the desert, you're not in the city. Still, they have establishments, the same thing as what we have in the city. Because our cities here actually are not really the city that you can expect when you go there, right?
No,
And
our cities there are way crowded than my place here. Like Like
Oh.
they only what we have here. Just to tell you honestly, what we have here is just a small convenience store, one gasoline
Really?
station, and yeah, I guess that's it. That's the only thing that we have. We have to travel like an hour from here. We have to travel to Farmington, New Mexico. Well, what I love about this place is that this is just an hour away from the three other states. So in my
Yeah.
first 8 days here in the US, in this place, specifically in Red Mesa, I can proudly say that in the first 8 days of my stay here in America, I'm I did already set foot on the four states of America. So because we're
Wow.
literally
Yeah.
the four corners, like Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico and Arizona. So we're just on the like the center. Like it's just yeah, the four
You
corners.
even been to Nevada. I really want to go there now. But because of Trump's ban, so that's gonna
Yeah, I've been
be
yeah, I've been to
we're
Las
still gonna
Vegas.
be
I've been to Las Vegas. It's really a cool place, but
really
it's
costly.
really crowded. Like during the night, I mean, it's an the
Maybe
nightlife
you've been
there.
to the strip.
The nightlife there is just so lit.
Well, maybe you've been to the strip, right? But on the other, I've heard that on the in some other side of Las Vegas, it's not really that crowded. Like when you go to how do you say outside the strip. Am I right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but our school is in the strip, near the strip. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, good for you and bad for you.
So I'm hoping that I won't become a gambler.
Yeah,
Well,
we
kidding
were there,
aside.
and yeah, most of the establishments there are like really casinos and bars, and that's it.
Yeah, really,
Nightlife,
the city that never sleeps. Okay.
and
So,
yeah,
yeah, I think it's really a good advantage for Filipinos. To be honest, if I was given the chance to go to or to um, have or to be in a school in the US or to be in a public school, I would really choose in Arizona because I've heard that the cost of living there, especially if you're not in the city, is quite low, right? And at the same time, like what you've mentioned, so that's what I'm actually dreaming of. Like when you're in Vegas, I've heard the cost of living is not so high. However, when it comes to housing and everything, it's kind of tough.
yes. You know what? When we have I have known already many Filipino teachers here, like from different states, like through groups, Facebook chats and that. I have learned that New Mexico paid more for teachers compared to
True.
Arizona, and yeah, they really paid really higher, like higher than the way I am paid here. But
Yeah, it's true.
what I was thinking, yeah, I mean, my salary here is like really lower compared to theirs, but you know what? What I
Mm,
love here is that the housing is cheap. Um,
yeah, true.
the cost of living is also cheap. Like we can just have me myself, I can have a grocery of worth um $80, and that's good already for like 2 weeks or more. So
Wow.
I can.
I mean, considering the amount of salary that you get as compared to what you got here in the Philippines while you were still here, that is really a little amount, right?
I know. So it just, but
Amazing.
if you have to compare that to the Philippines, I mean, I can't do grocery for like 4,000 for 2 weeks. I don't do that in the Philippines.
Well, well, but of course, if you compare, considering that it's like your salary here is times 10. I mean, in Arizona, so the grocery you don't do groceries for like 400 for 2 weeks, right? If you try to compute that, so yeah, it really is a big difference. I mean, you can really save a lot for 4,000 for 2 weeks. That's really a small amount, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a small amount, but yeah, I mean, that's the way it is here. Like, although yeah, I am paid lower than the other teachers in other states, but that's the also the benefit of it living in this kind of area, because you're far from malls, you're far from bars,
Yeah.
you're far
And I
from,
think you have stipends. Do you call it stipends? Stipends? I don't know how to say it.
yeah, stipends. The good thing here is that during my first year, I was offered to, not offered, but yeah, I was offered, and I got interested into being the senior class sponsor, and it is an additional pay of $2,200. So you know,
That's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot. That's 100,000 already.
Like five
So,
months working. You have to work for 5 months here in the Philippines for that.
yeah. And that's only a stipend here. So in the Philippines, you will be handling a lot of many moderator ships that you call them, like coordinator ships, or
I can relate to that.
yeah,
I have a lot.
and then you're not really paid at all. Like you have to spend your own money for some events. Like it's like
And you have to spend a lot of time,
coaching
even
here.
until
If
8
a
p.m.
coach here, you are also paid a lot. Like coaches
Yeah.
paid higher than
Mm,
the sponsors, or we
yeah.
call them the advisors, like that. So
I've heard about that too from my co-teachers right there. It's just so good. I
that's
mean,
good. And I know you will
yeah,
you'll be offered to with some kind of,
tutorials.
yeah, tutorials or whatever,
That's
other
so
things
good.
that you have
Really
to
cool.
gain extra outside from your salary.
Yeah, and just imagine the the time or the school ends at 2:45 as compared to 4:45 4:30 here in the Philippines, but you have to do extra work like coaching. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
You know what? And I will tell you, the best part also here is that once it is time, it's really time. You don't have to extend like even a single minute. Like for example, there will be there will we'll have a meeting, like a professional development meeting,
Like
and
on
then
Sunday or
yes,
Saturday.
every Tuesday, like we have that kind of professional development seminar, or yeah, all the faculty will be there. And you know what? When it's time, everyone has to stop doing things. Like we have to go. It's time. That's it. In
Mm,
the Philippines, no, we still have we need to finish this and that. So it's like that there. So here, when it is time to go, it's time to go. And when it's weekend, it's really weekend. You don't need to go to school. You don't have to work. You don't have to do it anything
mm,
about schoolwork.
wow.
And when it's holiday break, it's holiday break. When it's a holiday, you will really have to enjoy your holiday. You can go out of state, just to enjoy your holiday break,
Mm,
something like that. In the Philippines,
that is really good.
we're just on call. Like, no, you have to be here. There's
I can relate to that. I can relate to that. I actually shared my experience to my co-teachers there. I already made friends. Like we Filipinos are like that. So I made friends with them and they were like, "What? You're teaching like 45 kids in a class and then you keep on moving from one place to another. We don't do that here. Kids move from one classroom to another. They have to do that themselves. And when it's time, it's time. When you have or when you don't want to do tutorials, nobody can force you. And when whatever is written in your job description, those are the only things that you have to do, right? If you do extra, you will be paid extra too. Am I right, sir?
That is correct. That is really correct. And when it's time here, you can force, even if you're not done with your discussion in your classroom, in your class, and it's when it's done here, when the bell rings, I mean the kids will just stand up and just leave you.
It's bell to bell. Yeah. Oh, what about, like here in the Philippines, this is actually what I want to ask because, in the Philippines, we start off with prayer and we do some like icebreakers. How do you handle your class? Like, do you have something like that? Because I don't think that all of them has all of those students have religion.
Yeah,
Do you?
you don't do that here. You don't do that here. Like the
Great thing.
typical thing that we do, like
I've just
start
known
the,
that.
yeah, start the class with a prayer. We don't do that. We just, when it is the first period, like the first period in the morning, everyone will have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of America, and
Mhm.
that's it. And after that, you have to start your class. I mean, you can have bell work, like before
You-
the bell rings for the next period, like for 3 minutes. you can let your students do something like for that short amount of period of time, and then
Mm.
right after that you can start your discussion, and then yes, and then after that, once the bell rings, you have to stop because the kids will just leave you. They will just
Oh.
they won't.
They don't say goodbye and thank you, mister.
Yeah, they don't do that here. I I was thinking that I would like to implement that, but it just doesn't work. It just didn't work.
I don't think it will really work. Because they're just not accustomed to that. It's very
But
difficult
you
for
know
them to
what?
adjust.
What I'm also wanted to share is that in the Philippines, we're used to like, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Di ba? Mag-ana mga students na to, anang makasugat sa ato ah. Here, you you cannot expect kids like, good
Like
morning.
your
No.
friend.
They will just stare at you, and then you'll just walk past by you, and then they will not greet, like that, like the way we have in the Philippines.
Well, I think that's what the kids right now here are. Here,
Really?
because I teach in a mega school. Yeah, yeah. I really witnessed that. Like, they would just run, and then if they accidentally touch you or hit you, they won't even say sorry. They would just and would go away.
But you
Yeah,
know what?
considering that they're
Yeah,
in the city, that's really how it is. As- I think it's really better to teach in like Moncayo, because the kids are somewhat disciplined. Here, it's the situation is different.
I know. Well, anyway, you're in a city, and so that's
Yeah,
maybe that
but I'm
explains.
not generalizing. But there are
Yeah,
kids
that
who are
explains why. But here, you know what? The moment I started, it's a different thing here because you have to greet your student first. Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, Michelle. So you have to do it like that. Good morning, and then they will respond. Good morning.
So how did you feel?
No, the
Because
first
it's very
time,
strange.
the first time I felt like I don't deserve this. No, no, no. Because we're used to like being, in the Philippines, we're used to like really, our students
Being
have
polite
high sense of respect, something like that.
for teachers. Yep.
Yeah, for teachers. But here, I know they respect teachers, but it's just, the different way. So when I just do it like myself, like, good morning, good morning, good morning, Alejandro, good morning, Carl. And then they would, good morning, Jay, good morning, Mr. Jay. So, and
Because they don't say
eventually,
sir, right? They don't say sir. They don't say
I
ma'am.
don't call you sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they find it strange. Because in our meeting
Some
too
would,
with my
some would call
principal,
me, yeah, I told them to call me Mr. J. So that's the way I am, called here. Here, it's Mr. J
that's really
or
good.
or Jay, or sometimes they call me, hey, Jelford. So they would just, do like
That's really cool.
that.
Yeah, my principal actually, when we talked, I'm like, hello, hello, Mrs. Fairless. And she was like, oh, you're so formal.
Yeah, because sir and ma'am here is like really for formal, conversation, something like that.
Yeah. And we've had our meeting through Zoom, and I was like all dressed up. I even wore a coat, a black coat, and when we had our meeting, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're just wearing like hoodies and some are wearing sleeveless." And they would say, "Oh, this teacher from the Philippines is really formal." I didn't know how to react. I didn't know if it was a compliment or if it was some kind of sarcasm. It was really
I
strange.
bet. You know what? The first time I was here, to tell you honestly, my kids were like, "You're so dressed up," because I was like wearing a polo, and then a short sleeve polo, and then um
Slacks.
tucked in, and then slacks, and then or jeans, but it's always tucked in, like. And then I used to wear leather shoes, like the shiny leathery. And
But
then
they think that's kind of a nerdy thing.
yeah, that's how I am. I guess that was like first
OMG.
first 2 months, or like, yeah, but you know what, the next month I was like, oh, I have to loosen up because I think I was just so, stiff, and so
You
that's the
looked so
time.
stiff.
Yeah, that's the time that they started to like maybe feel like okay, they can talk to me because I was like I was projecting a thick
Like an
upper
authoritative teacher.
authoritative
You
teacher.
have to respect me. I am a teacher. Like
Yeah,
that.
but it doesn't mean that you have to dress really how do you
I
call
really
it?
am so curious about that because
Yeah,
I'm
but
planning
you
to
have
buy
to
a lot of
dress
like pencil
appropriately.
skirts,
You have
like
to
the
dress
ones that. But
appropriately.
I saw my co-teachers right there. They were just like wearing hoodies and jeans and boots. I'm like, oh my gosh, can they really wear that during class? It's really strange.
Yeah, so the next time I was like, um, I still wore those occasionally, but I wear sweaters, hoodies, something like that, jeans. So, but Mr. Ponder, our principal, would like maybe this year he wanted to like implement a dress code for the teachers because also sometimes it's not really good to like really look like just one of your kids. So you have
Yeah,
if
you
you
literally
are a
look like
teacher,
one of your students.
yeah. So because you're a teacher, so you have to really look like
You have to
professional.
stand out.
Yeah, you have to
Stand
look
out,
like
should I say?
you have to stand out. That's a term. I mean, yeah, because I mean, just look professionally. I guess that's the only thing that matters there. You
Hmm.
don't have to look like you're just one of the kids who are wearing ragged jeans and that. So it's not cool.
But I think it's not a big deal, right? In most schools in the US, like
It's
it's not a
not.
big deal for you
It's not a
to
big deal.
wear like if you're a girl, you have to wear like skirts, pencil skirts, and then really long sleeved shirts, something like that. I don't think it's very. I mean, it's usual because I saw some teachers like they're teaching and they're just wearing casual shirts, like t-shirts and jeans, and they're like just like they're going to the mall, something. Yeah, really strange. I do
That's
think it's
true.
really okay. Now, here, let us move on to because I think I'm taking too much of your time.
No, I'm a host
So,
here. You can talk to me as long as you want.
well, I think are you doing online classes right now? I mean,
No,
because it's is it spring? How do you call that? Spring break?
no, summer break.
Summer break. It's summer break. I'm not so familiar with the timeline of of the seasons in
Yeah.
there, but anyway, what should we expect when we move to the US?
What should you expect? You should expect that things are gonna be different, of course. You don't expect that at the first meeting you have your kids, show respect towards you or whatever, because
Mm,
it could be that they would give you that instantly, but you don't expect that right away. So you have to prepare
mm,
yourself for um, behaviors that are way beyond
yeah,
your expectations.
I
Behavior
understand.
that are really behavior that belongs to the Westerners,
Mm-hmm,
not the typical behavior that we encounter in the Philippines.
mm-hmm,
And
absolutely.
yes, and you have to prepare that here work is work. I
Mm,
mean, when it's work time, it's really work time. You don't have. I can remember in the Philippines during your work time. I have to admit, but um, because we have vacant period in the Philippines, right?
yes, 1 hour, like
So
one
like
hour,
an
two
hour,
hours.
and then in the afternoon we have another an hour like that because I have only four loads, as what I've said earlier. So in between those periods, you can do stuff like outside from teaching. I mean, you can
Yeah, you
do.
can even take a nap.
I hate to say that.
I can relate to my first year of teaching. I did that. It's so tiresome, like when you're in a very big school and you have to walk for the entire, like 4 periods straight. So of course you'd feel tired. You know what? There is even a faculty room, and I would stay there and sleep for an entire hour. Like my
Yes,
mouth is open.
and that's really true because that happened in the Philippines. But here, you can't do that. Even though it's your free time, it's your vacant period, you have to do work. You have to do preparation of your lesson plans. You have to do, just about your about your class. You
But I
can
think that's just fair.
that's just fair because you're paid.
Yeah, I think that's just fair. And you are given extra time to do your own lesson plan, and you don't need to, like, here in the Philippines, we get to spend sometimes we get to spend our free time in doing like paperwork. If you are a coordinator of Phil Erie, or you are a reading coordinator, you have to do lots of stuff, and you have to work a lot. But then in there, you are paid when you do that, right? And it's you are given some time to do that. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, there's really one period allotment for you to do your lesson plan, your preparation for the class for the entire
That's so
day.
good.
That's every day. You're given free time.
I like that.
Yeah. So mine, well, it is different with the all of the teachers. Um, for me, my schedule is like the first period is my free time. So the first period I can do like from 8 to 9. I have the freedom to like do, preparation for my classes. So, and it
Mm,
benefits me because even if you did not prepare your lesson at night, I mean, you still have an hour to prepare during the day. So it's a benefit for me. Yes, and yeah, I guess work is work. That's one thing that you have to bear in mind when you come here. Um,
mm.
Another thing is your coworkers expect that there will be, of course, like in the Philippines, there will be coworkers that are not really working well with you, or you might find some disagreement, something like that, and it's hard to deal with it, especially during your first time, because they're Americans. I mean, they're not like Filipinos that we can just,
It's
and they're
easy to
really, really, really
fix the
straight
dispute.
to the point. They're really honest and
Outspoken.
outspoken. Like they will tell you what they feel. They will tell you
OMG.
what is wrong with you. So it's like that. So you have to prepare yourself for that too.
Should I prepare myself right now?
And we Filipinos, we tend to be like really emotional kind of people. Like we tend to, um, take things seriously in terms of disagreements. But I learned to just, here I learned to be, how do you call that? I don't know how to term that. How do you call that? But you learn how to be strong, or to be just, ang tawag dyan eh, basta dili ka magpa-apekto sa natawag na.
Naglibog po ko. Samang langaw eh.
Eh, langaw, pinapahiya mo ako sa aking vlog.
Okay, so, mingaw ba kay no? Mingaw kay sir pagka nang nakadiraan. But I think that it's good that you live with other Filipino teachers. I think that's a great
Yes.
advantage.
I guess that's the very advantage that I have here, because I am living with fellow, Filipino teachers. Because other teachers, they're just alone. Like they're just the only Filipino in the school, and
Just
and
like me.
like you'll be the only one.
Yep. That's why I'm hoping that Sir Babiano will also, be able to go together with me, or that we might have the same schedule or flight, or if ever the ban is lifted,
Yeah, but
because
are
it's gonna be me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and I.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, are you like close to each other? I mean, your place.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually tried to search for his place and my school as well. Our schools are just like 9 minutes away from each other by car, so
Oh,
that's really close. So
that's
I told him,
cool.
"Oh my gosh, Sir Bob's." So when we get there, we have to share apartments, and he also has her his co-teachers who are also hired in the same school, and I am planning, though of course he's from another agency. I'm planning to move with them because I don't think there are other teachers from Bepoche that is hired
In Las
in
Vegas.
Nevada, yeah,
Yeah,
in Las
yeah.
Vegas.
I mean, that's really one of the best things, because I have a friend in New Mexico, in Cuba. If you notice my post, I was in Cuba last 2 weeks ago, and it's just so
He lives
lonely
alone?
for him there because he's
Oh,
just
that's so
alone
sad.
there for like two years now. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
and
I
then
can't imagine.
yeah, and then he's also like living alone in the housing, so it's like um a different thing. But you have to, well, that's how Americans live here. They're used to work,
I
I
can't
mean, to
imagine
live
that.
alone. But we Filipinos are not used to that, so it will be a new thing for you. So that's
Yeah.
also one thing that you have to be prepared of, because you have to make sure that you're ready emotionally, you're ready mentally, that you have to endure the solitude.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine life like that. Well, but have you ever experienced like anxiety, or have you felt a slight depression when you went right there? Because it's really difficult when you go far away from your family, and of course, USA is really far from the Philippines. Like it takes you a lot of hours to go there, and you are in there for a year now. And of course, I understand that it's not all the time that you get to talk to your housemates. Well, we say housemates. You have lots of housemates, I can tell. So, but have you ever experienced like loneliness?
Of course, I mean during the first um but my personality, I mean, I don't know if it shows, but I'm
You easily adopt.
I'm a sanguine.
What's a sanguine?
Like I'm I just can, I don't think that I reached the point of depression or anxiety, because for me that's too
Wow.
much. But I felt lonely, and I cried for the maybe first 2 weeks that I'm here.
Of
I
course, it's
cried
very
for,
sad.
yeah, I cried for like consecutive nights. Like when you go to sleep, you try to close
Broken
your
heart.
eyes, and then you have to imagine that, okay, this is it, this is the reality. I am alone here, and I'm away from, like, I'm thousands and thousands of miles away from my family, from my wife. So that idea alone just would just be stuck in my head, and yeah, that will make me feel like lonely. But eventually, like a month after, 2 months after,
You get used to it.
I get used to it. And thanks to technology, because we can do video calls with our loved ones here, there in the Philippines. And also, I guess one of the biggest help that I receive is also from my congregation, the brothers, my fellow brothers and sisters in our church, in our
Mm,
organization, because they will make you feel like really, really, really part of the family, that you're not alone. So it's
mm,
also good. That's one thing also that I would suggest to all J1 teachers that should be going here. Even Mom Cheryl from Bipoche, she is when I was in Bacolod for the seminar, um, she would she told us that the one of the very first thing that you have to search for once you arrive in the US is your church, because it's really important that you have your own support group, like especially in your faith, because it will really help you to stay strong and to encourage you whenever you're feeling really low and down. So I believe
true.
that worked for me, because
Mm,
I was really thankful that I have those immediately, like 3 weeks after I found the nearest Kingdom Hall. We call our church Kingdom Hall. The nearest Kingdom Hall that I have here is in Farmington, New Mexico, just an hour and 20 minutes away from my place. So I guess that helped me also in coping with loneliness here in America.
I see. Well, yes, it's true. Well, you've got to have a support system when you get there, and of course, soon your wife's gonna follow as long as soon as the ban is lifted, right? Because yeah, she's
Yeah,
already ready to go. Okay.
yeah.
Well, anyway, let's go to the last question. Okay. Now, what are your tips for us aspiring J1 teachers?
Tips. Tips. What tips? What aspect? Well, anyway,
Anything.
anything.
Anything in
Okay.
which you have
I think
experienced.
first, the very first, for me, the very first reason why I came here, why I decided to be here, because I hate to say it, but it's the reality. Because when I was in dep ed, um, I mean, I find joy. I find joy in teaching in the public school in Mungkay National High School. I have a lot of tasks to do, like many, things to handle. But for me, it's just the financial aspect that's, strike me the most. So that um
True. I think
that would that
every
would
teacher
let
would feel
you,
that.
yun bang kanang mapaingon ka ba nga kapuya na maani nga nga kahit
Loan.
kana
Loan.
kanang happy ka sa imong work, happy ka sa imong mga co-teacher
Sige
ka,
nag-loan.
man po kog friends sa sa Mungkay na siya high school. um Pero once mo gawas na ang aspect na finances,
Financial.
and then
I
especially,
understand.
you have bills to pay, you have
Of course.
family to, to help, um, everything, diha nakaig-on sa pag-abot ana. So, pag
I
ingon,
totally agree.
yeah, pag open ako sa akong wife about ani na decision, actually, she's not really okay with it. Like, ana siya nga pwede ra man nato mapangitaag diskarte ang kung finances lang, kay di siya gusto lagi nga,
Layo.
layo ana.
Because we Filipinos have strong family
Yeah,
ties.
yeah. So, and then pero akong giingon sa iya is that, to tell you, I hate to say it, but I'm one of those teachers na wala na sa ko akong ATM.
Me too.
Really?
Aray. Aray. Makarelate man sa tanay, makainom sa tama utang ani.
Makainomdom ko ba, na i-share na ko sa mga ha. Pagka-in ako, sa nga year na item.
Bago ra oy, 2018.
Oh,
Bago ra
20.
jud ko, wa pa ko 2 years pag-apply na ko sa B-pouch.
Okay. Karon na anong tawag ani? Na pagka-in gyud nako, ana jud ko sa akong kaugalingon na dili jud ko mag-loan. Ana, mo na akong ingon sa akong kaugalingon.
Tanan man siguro ba?
Dili jud ko mag-loan kay makadungog na ba ikag mga istorya nga hala mga teachers kay grabe og loan, hala
Loan.
kana si ma'am kuan o kana puno na kay nag-loan niya. Ako dili jud ko mosundog sa ila. Mo jud na akong kuan giingon sa akong kaugalingon. Pag sign ako sa appointment, pagka-item ako sa likod, di ba, na ang kuan loan for sa CSB, City Savings Bank. So anak ko, what if mag-loan ko?
Patay.
Kana mag-loan ka ba nga? Excited lang ka nga maka-loan ka nga
Makahawid kag dako.
afford na
Hawid.
nga maka-afford kag dako nga bigla kay nana. So anak ko, sige lang, gamay ra man nga kaltas. This is only like 7,000. So okay lang,
Uy,
napa-pay.
kadako.
Okay, ang
Dako
below,
ani mo na nandawat ato.
ang below una kay 250,000 man.
Social.
Tapos anak ko, tapos giunsa na ako tong 250,000. Well, anyway, nakapatukod ko gamay nga payag sa mua before. Tapos gipalitan akong mama o ko, itagan ako kwarta sila, palitan ako sila ref na itindahan na. So pila ra
Dugay
gunang
ni mo og 1,000.
250,000 no nga pag mawa na, pag mahusugdan mo nagkuwag 1,000 wa naman na diretso naman na kawa.
Relate.
So ayun, nag-loan ko 20,000, then then pagka like pila to ka months after, nag-decide na din ni magpakasal mga na-item ko August, September, October, November, December. Pagka November, nag-propose ko sa akong wife karon, then nagpakasal mi May next year pagka 2015. So inana kadali. So ang gastos na po, di ba? So
Nag-loan na pod.
loan na po ko. So
Kaya di man jud ta ka-save. Di man jud ta ka-project. Sa itong sweldo.
Duman lang, no? Dili man jud takatigong sa
May magdita mo kaon.
moto. So ang naitabo, what happened was, so loan, so recycle. So ang naitabo, I ended up giving my ATM to Tagum Co-op. Dili na ako na ikaulaw, i-share kay mo gyud na nahitabo and
Tanan man.
well
Dili lang man
slowly
ikaw.
well slowly nagabayad man pud ko, hapit naman pud ma-impasse, you know. So
Sana all.
so inana mahitabo, then makaluya ba no kanang once anang tingsweldo na
Iwan na ni mabilin.
nya pag tan-aw nimo sa imong ATM sa Pinoy Co-op nga ATM sa Tagum Co-op, lamuno lang ni akong kwarta nya mo na nga makaunahon na lang kag bisag unsa nga diskarte mo to akong vlog nga imong nakita mamaligan lang ko bisag unsa.
Kasagarang teacher naga-online selling.
Yeah, online selling.
Because of loan.
Yeah, so murag kita jud daghan jud makarelate ana. Na may pipila nga dili kay karelate katong mga arangan na judaan nga nanay mga ano. Pero kita nga marag nagsalig lang gid sa atong profession as our source of income. So murag inana gyud ang padulungan. So what happened during those times nga nagapaminsar ko ana ko nga gusto ko mo try og ano. Siguro wala man ko ingon nga mobiya gid sa DepEd during those times nga kung gusto ko mo try lang ko ba, what if ma-exit ko na kus i-settle lang na ako ni because I want to murag i-reboot na ko ang system ba kay murag na-stuck na ko ana, na-stuck na ta ana
cycle nga kanang
and it's just repeating every cycle in ano na lang siya then murag asa naman ipadulong and I'm thinking na mo-retire ko ngayon ani akong kahimtang and then nakita na ako na nga kahimtang sa mga co-teachers nga mga former pa nako nga mga high school teachers that you know they also have the same thing that they have to go through, like, you know, the cycle of just recycling loans, literally. And then, pag na mga maayuhon, iprinda na po usab ang bonus, ay ang una-una og prinda ang bonus. So,
but if you try to count, grabe ang interest gyud. Labi magkuan ka, magre-loan, oh my gosh.
Tapos,
kita gi-atik.
Muto nakaana ko na, what if I will try to like get out from this situation and you know dili man ako wala man kay laing ma-blame kundi ang imuha ra man mong self because ikaw may
true absolutely
so ako pud mismo so since ako ra man ma-blame so ako lang pud mangitag way nga what if I will try to really get out from this and I will have to like reboot the system that I'm in right now so nakita kog opportunity like this so I'm not really saying na this is forever because this is just, you know, J1 visa is only like
temporary
5 years. And we all know that if we don't get a chance to like, you know, have a green card or have a work visa here, we really have to go back to the Philippines and stay for 2 years. And after that, you can reapply.
Homestay.
So it's really like that. So this is not really like forever. But of course, since we are already here, pag ikaw naanak dire, we have to exhaust all means na makasettle ta diri because that's our
absolutely
yeah because
that should be our goal
nandito ka na di ba so ano ba mubalik pa ba ka sa pareho nga system nga imong gihawaan sa una so murag inana ang imuhang ako ang thinking karon but anyway as I've said wala man pugo na ingon na wala na di ko mubalik sa DepEd because wala ta kabalo sa you know sa atong future we do not hold our future so
yes
really say na di na jud ta mobalik sa DepEd but of course we're trying really our best kay to tell you honestly
so that we can settle when you go back here
yeah to tell you honestly the life here is really way better than you know what we have there in the Philippines in terms of you know health benefits in terms of everything parang lahi ra ang kahimtang diri ba so murag pag diri na ka ma-settle I mean siguro kung adto kag Pinas for vacation na lang murag inana ba pero as I've said dili wala man nakabalo sa dagan sa panahon so ato lang gyapon what I'm trying to do now is just enjoy the opportunity that I have and also praying that you know your plans will still you know be granted by God himself because you know we have plans but his plans will always prevail
absolutely
so that's it. So i-prepare lang nimo imong self sa mga kalainan dire sa nga imong ma-experience and save. If you have time to save and then imo jung target nga maani-ani sa diri kay atong ma-settle atong mga utang sa Pilipinas. So mo nay number
dali ra kayo na oy i-settle
mo nay tip jud nga pinakauna ayaw sa gyud pag assume nga during your first year makapundar na dayon
Buhay
ka
mayaman.
o makapundar na dayon ka sa Pinas. No, do not think about that because that I mean siguro sa mga walay utang nga dibiya di sa Pinas nga nag-anhi they can
Sana
do that.
all.
Yeah, they can do that because I have friends na ko yung mga friends ko nga wala
From
sila nang utang, they gigastusan sila silang parents nga ni dire, so you know makasave gid sila. And then those are people na pwede nimong mautangan pod kung ma-short ka diri. Pero ako nga dako kay utang, syempre nang utang biya tanong magastos sa padulong diri, bayad sa
of course.
so at least na settle, and I'm proud to say nga within the 10 months nga nagtrabaho ko diri, kay 10 months lang man ang trabaho diri, nya 11 and 12 months wala namang kay sahod. Pero depende po na sa mo kay pwede maka mo
Summer tutorial na.
Pwede maka mo pili og option nga pwede ka paid up to 12 months pero i-divide lang di mo
how do you say that? Prorated ano?
Mapili na nga ano option. So yes, ang 10 months na ako diri na paid ang akong utang sa Nitan katong gihulaman ako sa Cebu.
Dako kay interest ang Nitan. OMG.
Ako ato na I was left with no choice kay murag kinahanglan na jud kay magbayad, so gi-offeran ko ato. So I was offered.
Pero grabe, dali ra kay nung siya na paid jud.
So,
kung sa DepEd ka, oh my gosh, tibukin na buhay nimo ka magbayad.
Na paid na ako siya within 10 months. Last May.
Congratulations.
Na paid na ang 500,000 pesos.
Pero grabe. But if you work here in the Philippines and you'd have to pay such kind of an amount, well, you have to reloan and reloans if you want to sustain your needs. I can tell. I work 2 jobs. I have like in DepEd and I have online tutorial, and it's just so different, and the workload, pag sulod na ako sa DepEd, nakaingon ko, anong nag-DepEd man ko? But it's very fulfilling. The work is really fulfilling considering
that's the best thing also working in DepEd, because the work there is, for me, it's fulfilling, and
you'll feel like you'll grow.
It will really give you a sense of reward and satisfaction as a teacher. And yeah, that's it. But yun lang nga, diha ra jud kaigon sa financial aspect, because
absolutely
gamay lang jud kay taog sweldo dira kumpara sa uban pud nga countries in terms of teachers. Kay kung diri although gamay ra gini nga sahod diri suka, pero kumpara dira murag times 10 gyud siya sa tinuoray lang. So inana siya nga aspeto sa atong kay bisan pag mayunta nga no, money doesn't matter. No, sa atong panahon karon kinahanglan kita maging practical, kay kung tutukag sa dili maka-cause jud baya og kanang ka-down, marag maka-cause og anxiety pag wala na kay kwarta sa imong pitaka, wala
nakaganahan mo work. Nakaganahan mo trabaho.
Kana bitong feeling na unsa pa may pulos akong pagtrabaho, wala man gyapon koy sweldo na dapat.
True, tinuod.
Kanang mag-work ka kay kanang ano ka excited niya every 2 weeks pa gid ang sahod nang dawat kag every 2 weeks niya dali ra kayo
bi-weekly, sir, no? Bi-weekly.
So
good.
So inana, so unahon jud nimo bayad imong utang, and then para at least pag second year nimo, ako na pa man koy utang, pero getting there siguro
dili na kaayo.
Siguro
maka-survive, maka-sustain na ka sa imong kon or makapundar na ka.
Year mahuman na siguro imong utang, so ang imong third year maragya na jud ka mag-save, and then mag-start ka og pundar. Kay syempre una gud ha, kung ang sweldo nimo sa Pinas nga within 1 year as a teacher 1 is only 220,000.
You can only ma-earn na nimo sa isa ra ka bulan dira
So ang 1 million dira nga sweldo i-earn nimo for 5 years, marag inana dire i-earn nimo in 1 year, sobra pa.
Mo jud
imong makuha. So inana, and then expect pud nimo as actually dili man ta OFW, di man ta OFW.
Di ta considered, yes.
One man ta exchange visitors man ta nga ginatawag. Pero makarelate po ta sa mga OFW, because since we're working abroad, makalalit ta, ako ingon pakadaan, nga daghan mag-solicit sa imo.
Pag gani nakalakaw, daghan mag-solicit na.
daghan mag daghan mga sa imo og help, manghulam sa imo og kwarta. And because 'di ba thinking it is a common thought na pag naa ka diri abroad, you're earning
Daghan kag
you're
kwarta.
daghan kag kwarta. You're earning much.
Dollars.
Like you're
Of
earning
course.
higher than what you have in the Philippines. So, ma-expect sila nga daghan jud kay kag kwarta, but ang kanang mga utang na imong ginabayaran, mga gasto nimo diri, of course, daghan kay kag gasto diri baya.
Mm.
Mayroon nga car, na insurance, everything, na imong groceries, balay, ganyan. So, dili naman nila di na nila mahuna-hunaan because what they will be thinking there, kalabi na imong mga kaila, mga close nimo na mga
I think that
friends,
you're
mga
rich.
relatives nimo, makauna na sila nga, you're earning much, you're earning really dollars, so marag dako jud kay kag kwarta.
Mm.
Pero ang naka-happy lang po because kay naa na ka diri, you can extend help kay na naman kay resources dili para sa una nga kanang kung na ikaw pa'y mangayog tabang no karon marag ikaw na ang maka-extend og help. And
Mm.
I'm really proud of that, idea nga we can now extend help, more help. Sa una maka-extend man tag help pero ginagmay kanang
Mm.
karon maka-extend na jud kag help kay na naman kay kakuhaan good kanang na
Mm.
kay extra nga matawag ba nga extra nga pwede nimong
Mm.
ipahulam or ihatag iyan
Mm.
yan. So
True.
I think that's the best part also of being here nga nag-earn ka og
Mm.
higher
Mm.
salary sa compare sa imo sa Pinas because
Mm.
makatabang ka and expect nimo na and then expect nimo pud na mahiubos sa imuha pag mabalibara nimo.
That's normal. That's normal.
labi na mga
And mm-hmm.
labi na
Yes, sir.
mga close nimo ba nga mabalibara nimo so
Mm.
mahiubos sa imuha. So I mean expect nimo na but for
You
me
have to prioritize yourself first, I think,
yes.
as well as your
I think
family.
so. Priorities, and for me, ako sa akong kabahayan, I would tell, dili jud ko dalo na pagkatao. I always share
Mm.
kung unsay pwede na ako ma-share. Basta naalang ko, I will really share. Pero the fact na i-label ko na dalo, I mean that's another story kay it's not for me it's not me. It's
Well, I
not.
think that's very normal for Filipinos to label somebody who is in abroad, who is earning much, like what you said, to be dalo if we refuse or if you refuse to help them. That's just very normal. I
That's
think
normal.
that's a very common mentality of Filipinos, and I think that if you're there, because you're there, you just don't need to, how do you say, get affected. But of course, it cannot stop yourself from being affected with that. Kay normal man gyud na sa ato nga naman gyud tay mga emotional nga kanang unsay tawag emotional man gyud ta kay mga Filipino kay mga hopeless romantic ba. Yes, and let me go back sa education, sir, no, katong sa DepEd. Noon, I think that it's a great advantage that we came from DepEd kay kinaon man nato ang trabaho sa DepEd good. So when you get back, when you get to the US, it's easy. Tinuod ba?
I would agree. I mean, I couldn't agree more because, because you know what? The work here that they're saying that it's how do you call that? It's
They
tedious
say
and
it's tough. It's
tough, tedious and laborious, something like that. For me, it's just an easy thing.
easy. I get it.
It just, it's just a piece of a cake.
I really can relate to that. One of the teachers said that kapoy daw ko ayo magtudlo og kanang kuan, kapoy na mag-extend og kanang ana. So I told her, "Oh, you know what? Here in the Philippines, I have like 46 students. I have to move from one classroom to another in that classroom, like from one period. So that's like 10 classrooms away, and there is no time allotment for you to go there. So, and the other teacher or the advisor from that class would get mad at you because you're gonna be late. And aside from that, when you have to extend your class, you have to extend your time up to 7 p.m. to train students. Like I have site writer. I have four chess players. I have four side chess players. I have seven radio broadcasters all in one. And I do them in one session like every day. So you have to really extend for like 7. or 6, and you have to do Phil Erie. I am the school Phil Erie coordinator, and there are like 5,000 students in my school. And I also am the grade level coordinator for Phil Erie. Oh my gosh, may ilak na ba ko? And I'm also a school paper advisor. So,
Ooh.
dili ka ka-survive, ana, pag mo ana ka diya. Kana kadagan imong trabaho dire.
We Filipino, for me,
Consi-
we Filipinos are born to survive,
yes.
and we thrive in every working in all working conditions. Like imagine those factory workers in other countries, those nannies, those housemaids, house helpers, something like that. And we teachers, the job here that we here in the US, as if you are a teacher, is just nothing compared to the Philippines. You will be you will be dealing here with only like less than 20 kids in one classroom.
Yeah,
And
and I think they're very focused to students. They believe that teachers have to really pay attention to the students, other than the other workloads that you have to handle,
yes,
diba?
and yeah, and for me, if you like compare really your work in the Philippines, you will thank yourself of coming here because it's really like that's what I've said. It's just an easy thing. And I mean, all the work is work here. You don't have a playtime during your work time. Like when you work, you really have to do your thing. But the fact that you are dealing with lesser amount of kids, I mean number of kids, and then the job here, especially, I mean the paperwork's here, to tell you honestly, we have tons and tons of paperwork in the Philippines. Here you don't have to do paperworks. Like maybe you have to do like in a
Only
year.
grading,
Yeah, maybe in a year you will just have like I don't know, it's
like
just really,
reports, only a few.
really minimal. And then even report cards, you don't do report cards here. In the Philippines, you have to do manual. Like you have to write every report card with all the grades,
SF10, SF1, and
those
every
forms,
SF1.
all those endless forms. Here, everything is just online. Even the report card, when the parent would like to receive a progress, we call them progress report here. So you just have to print it out and give it to the parent, and that's it. And you don't.
Really good.
So it's like that. So yeah, it's
They
it's
even have re-interventionist, right? Like for example, for kids who are really slow, they have specific uh, a specific teacher that would teach that student, or maybe that student would go to or would join your tutorial. Am I correct? And of course you're paid for that. You don't need to extend extra hours for that student or for those students,
mhm.
um, and just because they're not excelling and not get paid, so you still get paid, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the good thing about it.
Well, here we have what we call special education teacher, exceptional education. How do you call that? Student services, exceptional student.
Ah, yes, yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, ESS. So they're those teachers who. So we have here like three Filipino teachers um, who handled ESS, and they will be the one to like pull out those kids who are really struggling in their classes, and they will be the ones to help them. And then once they're ready, they will be put back again to your class, and then yeah, that's it, and they will help the kids
Wow.
individually.
So teachers really won't have like a lot of hard time. Well, of course we will have a hard time. There would be times like that, but as a teacher right there, you just have to focus being a teacher,
Yes,
right? When it's class time, and
that's
that's
what
what I
that's
want.
that's also the one of the biggest difference, because here when you are a teacher, you are a teacher.
I love that.
In the Philippines, you are a
When
teacher and you are the rest of
you're
the.
a BHW, you're everything. You're like a superhuman.
Yeah, you're a superhero in the Philippines
You're
because
like a
you.
million person in one body.
That's it. That's the right, you know, description right there. Here, you're a teacher, you are a teacher. That's it. You don't have to do any other stuff like.
Mm.
And
Wow, that is so good.
yeah, and I guess there's more of um there's more of those things that you have to discover when you come here. You know what? When I knew that Red Mesa is my school, I didn't research about the school. I didn't research even the place, what the school's like, something. I didn't research any of that. It was my co-teachers who were like, Jelford, gi-research na mo imong lugar, kabalo ka mingaw ka imong lugar, pila ra ka buok tao dito ng puyo. And ako, wala ko nag-research because my principle is that there will be no element of surprise kung ako nang giswito tanan, so marag yan higit ko din no para for for
Some kind of
discovery,
an adventure.
for adventure, for exploration,
Char.
something like
Sana all.
that. So, wala ako nag-research. Actually, sa tinuoray lang gyud, wala na ako nagitan-aw sang. Pero kabalo ko nga ang Red Mesa is nagagpula nga yuta kay nakakita ko sa Google. Mo lang to akong diha lang ko taman pero the rest wala na jud ko nag-research. Then ayaw
Kay ang tendency mong gud ana if you try to search or pangitaan jud nimo murag mali imong eskwelahan mo kag makulbaan hinuon, you will feel anxious about it and you will try to find another school na
exactly.
hinuon.
Exactly. So, yeah, because that will just give you more things to think about, and that will not,
True.
really help
That
you.
will help.
Just enjoy. I mean, I know you. Everything will be with our agency. I can really tell you that they will, from travel to accommodation to getting ready to set you up for all your bank accounts, your social security when you come here. They will take care of all of that, and even your bringing you to your place, to your accommodation, they will help you do that. And I guess that's the best thing also for with that we are with Biposhe International, because they are, although you're paying that much, but para sa kuha dili ikakambyo ang ilang services nga ihatag. Ang convenience, the convenience that
Mm.
they are giving us is priceless. I mean,
Mm.
ipahiluna jud kanila na you will feel na you're taken care of. I guess that's
Mhm.
the best part of it.
That's a really good thing. Thank you very much sa imong mga tips, sir. And I think I took a lot of your time. And imagine, oh my gosh, grabe taas kaya ito ang talk time. Ganahan ko. More talks next time. And thank you very much. Ato alang ning i-post. O, ikuan nato sa imong mga subscribers. Kaya mas daghan kag subscribers sa ako, Char.
Oy, bago lang pud baya ka nag-start. Ako nag-start ko a month ago nga nag-vlog ko. So a month.
Makalingaw, manggod ay siya.
Lingaw
Wa ko
man ka.
nag-expect.
Yeah, so
Wa ko nag-expect niya. ECQ ba ya? Busy ka nang, wa ko lang kabisihan.
yeah, nag-start ko a month ago, and then yeah, today marag na ko yung mga 300 plus subscribers. So
Sana
shout out
all.
sa mga subscribers. Thank you. Please
Tanawa
subscribe.
ni among
Ano
video.
pangalan sa mong channel?
MitchBasics.
Giusab nimo imong kwan, di ba? Reading basics to by
Oh, giusab na ko kay lisod kay siya i-search. If i-search nimo siya dagan kay mo gawas. When I try to search Mitch Basics walay lain. So ako ra jud. So that's an advantage. Gi-research na ko na siya sa Google if
Actually
it
ako
it would be
nagunahon
better.
ko usabon ako kay pag search nako daghan kayo Mr. J.
Oh, dapat dapat magud daw may tips sa ubang YouTuber nga if ever kuan na kay channel as much as possible kanang walay lain kuan para pag search nila sa imong channel ikaw ra gyud ila makitaan di na
Yeah,
sila mo
so
adto sa
I
kuan.
guess it will take me time to, kay nanabi ko yung intro no nga nanadto ang Mr. J vlog. So edit i-edit na putog usab.
Sana
Pero
all ba
yeah,
kay na imong kuan.
well, anyway, yeah. So, sa mga viewers na mo, please subscribe to Mitch Basics and to Mr. J Vlogs. Please subscribe, and yeah, more videos, more collabs next time.
More collabs next time, sir.
Maulo ko sa
Daghan pa kay kog pangutana sa imuha.
ano lang ni
Sige.
imagine part 1 lang ni pero 2 hours na tayo.
2 hours good. Hala, oy, katong sa sugod ba? Wala mo ato eh.
2 hours
Pero sige lang, lingaw
na.
ni ato, sir.
Nindot ni kay kung imo ning ano i-edit, syempre ato man ning ikat-kat man siguro nimo nimo ikaw biya mag-edit ani. So
Ambot lang ikat na ko sir kay di ba ako kabalo mag-cut.
ikat nimo niya. Paghuman mo, moingon ka na, ala, dugay na ani. So kung mo ni ato ipa-watch atong subscribers, di dako na kay watch hour.
Ikaw na lang mag-watch atik-atik ka. Buhat ka gakan.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it and sorry sa akong mga and then maulaw ko sa mo kay grabe ka lami imong English ako kay
Sure diha. Tik sana all ra ko sa imuhang kuan kanang speaking voice o
and
imuhang accent.
I hope to meet you soon here in America.
I hope so.
Yeah, you will be
I
here.
hope so.
You will be here in time. Karon dili lang sa kay marag naay mga kakulian sa pandangay man ni si COVID
And
good.
I think naman jay reason ang tanan nga nung dili pa jud madayon.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
It's
then
here in the Philippines kasagaran na nga takdan gyud is katong ni-appeal atong mga sweeper flights and reason why we are experiencing a delay and yeah, I'm just so excited about it and nalipay pod ko kay akong principal kay kuan chill ra. Yes ra
yes,
siya.
you know what? You're so fortunate kay naamoy inana kay giingnan po ko ni Ma'am Fe Villarmea na ang ilaha pong principal dito they're willing to wait
Yes
for the
pod.
Filipino teachers. So then ikaw pod and then I mean that's a good thing inana ang
But the others
kaya ang uban mga ano na gipang ano na taon na
pang
gipang
retract na ilahang mga ano.
lang mga job offer. So yeah, it's good for you. And yeah, one thing that I can say is that don't really think that sometimes we have to wait a little longer and you may be thinking na it's a delay of God's plan for you, but sometimes waiting is a protection. So let's just
True.
think about that way, like positive way that
Mm,
the waiting time that you're doing right now is God's way of protecting you from harm or from whatever
true.
that-
Mao jud na ako ang giuna-una sir and maupo na akong gina-share sa ila sa amo ang kuan GC kay magsige naman nga anxious naman kung unsa hala dili na mi madayon nganong dugay kayo. Chill lang
nakagasto
jud
na
ko.
di ba
Yes, it would be better kung unsaon man nato ang ato ang nagasto no kanang pag-abot nato dira simba ko masakit. That's
yeah.
just it. Salamat kayo sa imong panahon, sir, and good night or good morning to you and good night to me. Well, subscribers, please give this video a thumbs up. O i-subscribe ang among channel kay Sir Mr. J,
Vlog
Mr. J Vlog,
and then
and Mitch
basics.
Basics.
Basics. Yeah, MitchBasics. And then comment mo guys kung unsa inyong gusto na among istoryahan sunod basig na pa mi time na mag
Kay basig maabot mig 5 hours sa among next time nga talk. First time pa namo ni nga meet, guys.
First time pa ni nga meet pero dili halata.
Nag-istorya gid ang mga tabian. Sige sir, maura to. Salamat kayo.
Alright,
See you next
thank you so much. And
time.
tulog na
Salamat
kami,
kayo, sir.
alas 2 na yata dira sa kadlaw.
Alas 2:15.
Okay.
Salamat
Thank you so
kayo.
much.
Next time.
Next time ulit.
Salamat.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.